I think a 12-year-old should be able to get a tattoo.
No.
No. It's a pretty permanent decision.
They can't make the decision for themselves yet. Something permanent on their body.
Do you think a 12-year-old should be able to consent to puberty blockers?
Yes.
Yes.
And I understand how that sounds really hypocritical.
Yes, it's a permanent change on their body, but I think that at that point in their life, they probably know who they are, who they want to be.
And you think so at 12 years old?
Yes.
You'd rather date a virgin or date a guy who you knew had a promiscuous past?
I say a guy who has a promiscuous past because he's settled down with you, and that means something more than a virgin who, oh, you're his first love, his first thing. So I don't know. It's more of an impact on the virgin than the promiscuous guy. So it means more from the promiscuous guy. You feel me?
But that promiscuous guy also has more experience in the bedroom too.
Okay. That's good for me.
Okay.
Facts. Me too.
Okay, so you'd want a guy with experience.
Yes.
You as a woman have to have money to attract a man.
No. No.
Do you need a career to attract a man? No, you do not. Do you need status to attract a man?
No.
Do you need to be the most fit girl in the world to attract a man? You don't, right? Guess what? All four of those things that I just named, every man needs to have for them to even attract some type of girl. And you guys are the prize?
Here into recent data from the CDC suggesting major problems with regard to the mental health of our adolescents, surges in depression and suicidal ideation, especially true for our girls. This week, I found cause to worry about young men. This headline from The Hill, it caught my eye. Most young men are single. Most young women are not. The story reported that as of 2022, Pew Research Center found 30% of U.S. adults are neither married, living with a partner, nor engaged in a committed relationship. Nearly half of all young adults are single. Now, look at these numbers. 34% of women, twice as many, a whopping 63% of men. What explains that? I pulled the Pew study and I read with interest. Turns out since 2019, the share of single men who say they're looking for dates or a relationship has declined from 61% to 50%. In 2018, 28% of men ages 18 to 30 reported they'd had no sex in the past year, compared with 18% of women of that age. The Hill report said men in their 20s are more likely than women in their 20s to be romantically uninvolved, sexually dormant, friendless, and lonely. They stand at the vanguard of an epidemic of declining marriage, sexuality, and relationships that afflicts all of young America. Among the causes, among the factors, a reliance on social media and online porn. But also, more young women are hooking up with each other or dating and marrying slightly older men, and heterosexual women are getting more choosy. Other troubling statistics about men come from a 2021 study from the Survey Center for American Life. They found the share of men who have 6 or more close friends, which in 1990 was 55%, by 2021 had shrunk by half. Meanwhile, those with literally 0 close friends, which stood at 3% in 1990, has zoomed to 15%. An expert quoted by The Hill said this disconnect can have catastrophic consequences for young men. Quote, in the worst case scenario, the young American man's social disconnect can have tragic consequences. Young men commit suicide at 4 times the rate of young women. Younger women are largely responsible for rising rates of mass shootings, a trend that some researchers link to their growing social isolation. Well, those words reminded me of a conversation that I had over a year ago right here on CNN with NYU professor Scott Galloway.
But the issue is, when you have a group of men, the lower half of attractiveness of men in online dating, which has doubled, now it's about half of relationships, and the top 20% of men in terms of attractiveness get about 60% of the interest, you end up with a group of men that are more prone to conspiracy theory, more prone to misogynistic content, more prone to not believe in climate change. So this is the American story. If it's written with a pen whose ink is failing young men, does not end well. This is an existential crisis, failing young men.
Be careful around these men. I'd have to say under 30 years old, they're not developing all the way right. And by the time you realize he's one of the broken ones, it'll be too late. be careful playing around with these men.
See, I think this is a thing where men and women may see things differently, or maybe I just see it differently. That she said that women should be cautious of men under 30 because they're not mentally developed. And that's what you get from that story, that news piece. Instead of seeing that it's not that women are not picking men on what? Because they're mentally unstable? No. Because women are choosing. You could see how women choose. Okay? The thing about her hypergamy, women go for that. They said women they're less single than men. Then who do you think they're dating? You think they're just dating each other? No. Statistically, no. They're dating older men. They're dating older men. That's just how, that's the thing that people don't understand. They're choosing men that are more financially stable, more developed in life. So women have always preferred men above them. This is the thing, like women all use these talking points, right? They want their equal. Women date older men is disgusting. Yet you have examples like this, okay? Examples like this that women do date older men. Women don't really date their equal. And yet women are focusing on how younger men are unstable and not worth dating. Men, truly their own level, not worth dating. You look at these comments that these women are saying, like, oh, these podcasts, these are what the men on the podcasts talk about. How 1 in 3 men are virgins. This is what we're talking about. The suffering and loneliness of young men, of average men. So this is the delusion of modern women. Men are talking about this. Men are talking about how women don't choose really men that are of their level or maybe close to their age. No, they're choosing men that are above their level or older than them. Okay, that's the reality. And also, one of the biggest things that men on podcasts say, one of the biggest things that men on podcasts say is that 80% of women choose the top 20% of men. They are attracted to and they go after and they want the top percent of men. That's what, so this news and the comment sections just prove all these talking points that men have. So this is the delusion that women are living in, and this is the result of women's action. Choosing the hypergamous life, right? Choosing men that other women want. They choose men that other women want. They choose men that have abundance of options, and they wonder why these men don't settle down. I think end of the day, men are suffering from women's choices in life, and I think that's also making women suffer as well, because again, they're choosing men that won't settle down. They're choosing men that have options. They're choosing men that will be hard to commit to. So, yeah.
Within the last month, 4 different studs have unalived their girlfriend because their girlfriends didn't want them anymore. So in this new trend of women being fed up with men and decided to explore bisexual and lesbian relationships, they're not even practicing discernment with picking the right female partner. As this small sample size increases, the numbers shall increase as well. Whereas women like to say that black men are the biggest threat to the community, which is why a lot of them is leaving and exploring these other types of relationships. As you women deal with those people more and more, in the next 10 years, it could be that they are the greatest harm to you. Females against females. black women versus black women. It's wild, right? Now, it has always been said that women do not get along with each other, that women hate to live with other women. This has been said since before I was born. So this idea that the grass would be greener dealing with women as opposed to dealing with men in these same-sex relationships is just asinine, you know what I'm saying? Because the one common denominator in heterosexual relationships and same-sex relationships, as far as with these women, is your bad attitude and your lack of practicing discernment.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you. How much money do you make? Like, I don't want to seem like interested in like money and stuff, but I just want to come out from the get-go to tell you, like, I'm not a gold digger or anything, but I just don't go out with broke boys.
I think I made good enough.
And I know you just took me to Applebee's, like, I get it. Maybe you don't want to take me to the most fanciest place, like, on the first date, but never again are you going to take me here.
Next time we could go somewhere else.
Like, Applebee's is not acceptable. I'm high-end.
We're just getting to know each other. You're not even my girl.
Well, yeah, but this is dating to marry, right?
Well, who knows?
And if I date, it's not to waste my time, so I'm not going to be going out and going to, cheap restaurants.
And then I hate a man who know they worth, because that just is aggravating.
Ladies, don't kill me for this, but women hate for a man to know his worth. We don't like that shit. Nigga come around thinking he know his worth. Oh, he too good for this, he too good for that. A man that know his worth ain't gonna let us play with him. And I don't like that. Me personally, I don't like that. Nigga, I need you to come around not knowing shit.
I don't like men who know their worth. Like, I hate y'all. I hate men who know their worth. They be like, I don't gotta deal with girl shit.
As a woman, dealing with a man who knows his worth is literally like the most like humbling experience ever, because he will literally cut your ass off.
Society's always telling women, know your worth, know your worth, know your worth. But we act like men aren't supposed to know their worth. And people take issue when a man knows his worth.
You wanted a 32-year-old who's making $200K.
Sure.
What do you think the median income is for the age that you specified?
Like 70, maybe 65, 70. Is it lower?
48,000.
Wow. I would say probably like 70K, maybe.
It's actually $49,000.
Wow. Between 65 and 70 for a 30-year-old?
It's actually 45.
Oh, okay.
And you were the most realistic one so far. For a 26-year-old, what do you think the median income is?
I'm pretty sure it's closer to like 60,000.
It is $38,000.
Oh, wow.
So a 33-year-old.
Mm-hmm. I would like to say around 100K, maybe 80K.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
100% out of touch.